The next time I'm going to Japan, this is all I'm bringing. That's right, an empty suitcase. There's never been a more fantastic time to travel to Japan. That's because the currency is so favorable. I'm looking forward to stocking up on my favorite Japanese products. But just because it's more, favorable and cheaper to spend in Japan doesn't mean you shouldn't get bang for your buck. I'm going to tell you all you need to know about flights, transport, payments, and my favorite, shopping. When planning your trip to Japan, think about when's the best time to go. For example, you might want to avoid the domestic peak periods like the Golden Week holiday, because that's when things tend to get really expensive.
So after Golden Week in May, it's kind of a off-season for Japan accommodations. And for Singaporeans, June holiday is the time that we travel. So it's actually a very sweet spot for Singaporeans to travel in June because the rates are good. And then we have like a holiday in Singapore. So that's one period that I'll recommend. And this off-season goes up to July. And then other periods are like in February, like late winter. So it gets really, really cold. But I think for Singaporeans, it's just like the perfect time to travel because you want to get into like really snowy and winter season. But because it's also after like a peak season, which is January, New Year season for Japan. So it's actually a quieter season for domestic travelers. So the rates are pretty much affordable.
There are so many affordable ways to travel to Japan these days. Even budget carriers fly into major cities there. To save even more, look out for flight bundles like this one. And these kinds of bundles actually allow you to travel within Japan for a whole lot less.
Also, be flexible with where you fly into, as well as who you fly with.
For example, if you are exploring the Kyoto and nearby area, you can fly both into Osaka or Nagoya. And you could fly, into one airport and the other airport out as well. And by mixing and matching different airports, different cities, and exploring different combinations, you are more likely to get a cheaper deal as well. And that same goes with the airline as well. You don't have to fly the same airline going into Japan and out of Japan. The more flexible you are, the more options you have, and you are able to get some really good deals. And so the other expense that can come with flying is luggage costs. So we highly recommend not to pack too much, try to pack light. Japan is a renowned shopper's paradise. So, be sure to leave some room for your shopping so that when you do need to bring your luggage back, you don't have to incur too much additional luggage costs.
So when I went to Tokyo, I stayed in Shinjuku, which is the very heart of the city center. It can be a bit expensive, even if it's convenient.
Transportation is really like accessible, like in Japan, and there's a lot of information now, like guides online to actually guide you on how to move around in Greater Tokyo as well. So I will recommend that besides looking at Ginza, Shinjuku, Shibuya, Singaporeans may also be thinking of exploring into Greater Tokyo areas like Yokohama, Chiba, Kawasaki. So these are areas which is really connected to downtown Tokyo. Like it could be like a 30-minute train ride, but you can actually save 35% per night when you book accommodations in these areas compared to downtown Tokyo.
Here's another tip for an alternative to the popular ryokans or traditional Japanese inns. Also consider the lesser-known machiyas. These traditional wooden townhouses give you the same old-world experience at a more wallet-friendly price. When it comes to transport within Japan, there's no shortage of options. One of the most convenient options is to get a prepaid transport card known as an IC card. There are several companies that offer such cards, such as Pasmo and Suica. You can get a card upon arrival in Japan or simply add it to your smartphone wallet.
On my last Japan trip, I had to travel between prefectures. So I thought, why not sign up for a JR pass? It turns out I didn't really need one.
The Japan Rail Pass ticks the boxes for convenience if you're traveling between cities. It includes bullet train, bus and ferry rides, as well as airport transfers. But prices for this pass were hiked 70% last year for the first time in decades. They now start at 50,000 yen for a 7-day pass. So it may not actually save you money, especially if your trip doesn't include long-distance train travel. For example, if you're traveling from Tokyo to Kyoto and back, regular tickets would cost you just under 28,000 yen, significantly cheaper than getting the pass. To break even, you'd have to travel further. For example, from Tokyo to Niigata and Yamagata and back. Also, look beyond the popular Shinkansen or bullet train. Take, for example, that same trip from Tokyo to Kyoto. While a train can get you there in 2.5 hours, you can also opt for an overnight bus. It costs just 20% of the train fare. For the more adventurous, a road trip is another option to save on costs while seeing more of Japan at the same time.
So I would also recommend that travelers from Singapore, if you're comfortable in driving overseas, by taking road trips, you can explore like deeper Japan, like even Hokkaido, like besides Niseko, you can go to Koyako and also other areas. And then you can see like really untrodden paths, like the hidden gems. Because if you're taking like the bullet train, it's convenient, but it's also quite, I think, more expensive than renting a car. And also renting a car, because you can have up to 4 passengers. So in that sense, it could be cheaper when you have a bigger group.
So those were my Japan money hacks. The only thing I won't scrimp on though is food. Don't forget to have a good trip.